We're gonna read through the sentence, and we're gonna see that Ashur's plan to separate itself out. So Yatsa Ashur is going to stand by itself. Nineveh, the city that's so large, is going to again stand as a fortress by itself. Rechovot Ir is going to be the battlements that are built around that, and they're going to stand. And then Kalach is going to be yet another bastion that's going to stand by itself when we overemphasize the pauses. Min haaretz hahi yatsa Ashur vayiven et Nineveh v'et Rechovot Ir v'et Kalach. And we're going to continue on. We are on page 109, Bereshit Yud, Pasuk Yud Beit, 10-12.
I just noticed that he's not consistent with the Nineveh. Here he spells it like Oiveh with D-E-Y, and then but now he's back to N-I-N-V-E-H. Was that one place? Did you notice that?
So again, might be a typo, might be trying to get pronunciation, because
might be like New York, Nineveh.
Well, no. You see, when we've got the word with the two notes on it, it's Nineveh, and when we've got it just with a tipcha, it's Ninveh. So
that's why he did the English
I think he might have written the English different, because we're getting a little bit of a different pronunciation to the word, because you're sharing the strength of accent between the two notes there. So I think that is purposeful.
They comes from Neve, like nothing issue. That was from Neve, the original Neve was there.
We're on page 109, number 1. Viet Resen. This is the Zakef Gadol. It's a little hard to see it in the text, but Zakef Gadol is our separating out line with two dots beside it. So this is going to be a note with some separation, and then at least two and possibly three or more things that are going to be defined by it. Viet Resen, and with Resen, number 1, due to the contrasting character between the northern and southern center, Nimrod built an intermediate city as a buffer zone. With Resen, he neutralized the polarization of the two cities, and he allowed each trend to complement the other, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So what he's doing here is he's building something that's in the middle that allows all of the other things to rely on each other for defense, and yet to build on each other in terms of offense. So it's both a defensive structure and an offensive structure, and it's sitting in between. So that's why we have this lovely complex three-part note. It's in between. It allows for defense. It allows for offense. It allows for all of those things there.
And going even deeper, the word resen in Hebrew, if I'm not wrong, is on a horse. The what's called the reins.
The reins.
So resen is he's reining them in and reining reins, let it go out and in. So it's in the word. That's what the word means. Resen.
Bain, between, with a mercha. So this is going to be lightly connected to the concept that we expressed before, but mostly moving us forward into what's going to go afterwards. Number 2, the lifestyle, mentality, and tendencies should have resolved inconsistencies between the inclinations deriving from the north and the interests deriving from the south, as shown by the directional shape of the reading mark. So we're going to connect. We're going to connect the Resen with other things. Ninveh, number 3, with a tipcha. So this is going to close off the thought and have a slight imposed pause afterwards. Ninveh was the great city and the core of business, art, and philosophy, and it determined the tone of life, as stressed by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So Ninveh is going to be something that's going to encompass the thoughts, the culture that Nimrod is imposing. Uvein, this is separating out with a munach, so this is going to be different and is going to tell us what's going to go forward. We'll come back to the note in a second. Number 4, on the other hand, Resen, which was positioned between the northern center and between influences from the south, was inspired by trends from both directions, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark.
But my thought is hard stuff.
Is there an invite today? What? In the Iraq? Is there an invite?
Yes. The agency.
That's called invite people living?
They destroyed it, I think, just now. I think ISIS destroyed it.
Oh, it was functioning until recent?
No, it was excavation. It's not a functioning city. They found the ruins of it, and I think ISIS destroyed it.
So after the word Ninveh, we had another note comparing the saying in German, "Der Ton macht die Musik." The tone makes the music. So this is after Ninveh. He's got the NB. You should. He's making Ninveh this center to try to culturally influence the rest of his empire. Number 5, Kalach, with the stabilizing etnachta. Kalach was a military center where the accent was mainly on physical fitness, military training, games, and various competitive exercises affecting interests of its kind in the north, as suggested by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So we have Resen in the south, which is this thing that's trying to bring influences together. The influence of Ninveh, which is culture, art, and philosophy, and the influence of Kalach, which is military center, personal fitness. So he's trying to get all of these influences into his sway. So we see that both he is taking these things under his wing, but also that he is able to control a variety of people who have completely opposing and difficult and different bents on life, and yet he's able to keep them all comfortable with him being ruler. So Nimrod truly has the ability to appeal to multiple opposites at the same time. So,
yeah, I mean, the orator part of him speaks well to Nineveh, the cultural center, and the warrior part of him speaks well to the northern. Sheldon, you laughed, you giggled before. I'm curious why that was.
No, because I'm assuming he has some information. Because he can't just infer that from the...
Who's he? Don't use pronouns. There's somebody...
Your father
His father is...
infer this simply from the...
For sure.
From the notes. He had to know where Kelach was.
For sure. Sidebar here, my father was truly a man of classics and had studied this like deeply and read. He was very much at his fingertips had a lot of the classical knowledge. He also toured in Arab lands in the 60s as a Canadian doctor, not advertising he was Jewish. He'd gone to pyramids, he'd gone to other Arab lands, he'd gone to Jordan.
You were born already?
Yeah.
But you were little?
Yeah. So he had seen many things firsthand. Sorry, please continue.
He probably went to the ruins of Nineveh.
So again, we see that he builds this city Resen to try to balance the influences that are coming from other places, and we're going to refer back to it. Number 6, he with a tipcha, it. So this is going to refer back to something that we've seen before and pause slightly afterwards. The coalescence of those directions in Resen made it a great moderate blending spot, which completed the triangle by including Ninveh and Kalach as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So the question is, he, this indefinite pronoun it, which one of the cities is it referring to? Is it referring to Resen? Is it Ninveh? Is it referring to Kalach? Well, Kalach was the last thing we talked about, so we might think that it's talking about talk about that, but we notice that Resen has this Zakef Gadol. It's got this note that's going to make it really stand out in the sentence, and we're saying that the influence of Resen, in order to bring the other thoughts and philosophies together, is really what's going to be the thing that we're referring to. Ha'ir, number 7. Eventually, Resen became the city of varieties and contrasts, where everybody could find his place and feel at home, as expressed by the directional shape of the reading marks. So it's going to move forward into what's going to go from there on. It's going to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's going to be something. It's not Anatefka because it's Ha'ir Hagdolah.
No, but
Great.
This and a little bit of that. Did Sheldon giggle or did he giggle then?
Number 8. The Great
Maybe there's a city
Hagdolah.
called He. Remember that other city here that we didn't know anything about? Maybe He. Here.
So
The city called He.
So we have a later reference to an indefinite pronoun being a definite name. Asher Yalda Ota Yaakov, and some of Asher Yalda Ota Levi. Some people are asking who. Who was Ota? Ota was the mother of yeah. So in any case, we have like indefinite names that actually turn into real names.
Or the one by call.
But
remember they did it by call also.
Yeah. So in any case, we have later on in Nach that we see Ninveh is called Ha'ir Hagdolah. Ninveh is called the large city, and yet what we're doing here is we're turning Resen into something that's greater than Ninveh. So we're turning Resen into Hagdolah because he's allowing its influence as being a little bit of this and a little bit of that, i.e. a place where Nimrod can influence everybody from, and not just people with one particular bent or philosophy. So he is making it even bigger than the biggest place that there was at the time. Hagdolah, number 8, the great. Due to its equilibrium by the golden middle, Latin aurea mediocritas, Resen became known as the great place in relation to the beginning of the sentence. So he is referring us back, and Gdolah is now referred to Resen, which Nimrod makes a bigger place even than Ninveh.
Is there a Resen today somewhere or no?
In Germany. There's recent, yeah. But if you think about Paris, you have to turn out the last century, the 1890s, 1910, 1920. And that's the same thing. All new philosophies and cultures were embraced and accepted, and so Paris became the place and the cultural center. Very forward thinking. So
this is also something that is very typical of ancient kings and ancient rulers, and in fact, even to the Middle Ages, rulers, if they really wanted to solidify and be able to bring together other influences, would quite often designate a new capital and allow their philosophy to permeate and not be tainted by relations with what was there before. So we have the idea of Achashverosh. We have more.
Akhenaten built his own town.
Mm-hmm. We have more modern. We have Switzerland. We have Bern being established because the king didn't want to be associated with sort of the German half of the population or the French half of the population. So he hunts out this new city where he kills a bear and calls the city Bern. So that's how the same. So the same thought permeates really kingdoms for an awful long time. That if you want to establish your own sense and delegitimize the elite of the time, then you build your own capital city.
Like Las Vegas.
Bingo.
Well, Ottawa, they couldn't decide between the French or English, so they
Mhm.
picked something completely different. Instead of the two big influential cities, Toronto and Montreal.
Mhm.
Said, okay, something completely different.
So when we
With
read
no
through
characteristics.
the sentence, we're going to see how Resen stands out at the beginning.
That's
Ninveh
right.
is going to pause, and Kalach is going to have its own pause, and it, is going to stand alone in the last half of the sentence. V'et Resen bein Ninveh uven Kalach he ha'ir hagdolah. So we'll notice that Resen stood out, Ninveh and Kalach sort of stood out by themselves, but then he sort of trumped Ninveh and Kalach. Are we up for one more sentence, or are we done for the evening? Has everybody?
I'm good. Carl, you look tired.
That's it. No, he
Long.
looked good.
Well, this is short.
Because we're okay. So we'll do one more sentence.
Shall we?
So yeah, please.
Yeah. That's okay.
So we're going through the genealogy of the sons of Noach, and we paused to tell the story of Nimrod, and now we're going to get back to more of the genealogy. So these are the sons of Ham, and Mitzrayim, and Egypt. This is with a pazer. So a pazer is going to strongly emphasize the word and make it sort of stand alone.
Where's the bazaar?
On Mitzrayim.
Oh, it's right.
Number one, comparable to the development of Cush and the other Hamites, and Egypt progressed by occupying a territory which was settled by its tribes, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So it's going to be a large influence. It's going to stand in a territory by itself. Yalad had produced.
So right says that the
Gershayim. The originator of this tribe had produced several clans which settled mostly in and around his own land, as referred backwards by the bipartite shape of the directional reading mark. So Gershayim is that note that we talked about first thing in the evening. It's two backwards facing arcs, so it's going to have a little bit of something double about it, and it's going to refer to what has come from before. So it's going to talk about Mitzrayim, and it's going to say that all of the children that Mitzrayim had are going to settle around the area that Mitzrayim actually occupied by himself. So et Ludim with a darga. So this is something that's going to tell us that this is something that is perhaps at a lower level, and it's going to serve the note that's going to go afterwards. So it's going to flow into what's going to come afterwards. On the south and to the west of Upper Egypt, the land was settled with Ludim, as shown by the shape of the reading mark. So again, this is down from where Egypt is, probably in a sort of less desirable neighborhood, if you will.
I think it's a reference to Lud, where the airplanes land.
Okay, yeah, they go down there. Yeah. Vet Anamim. This is a Tavir. A Tavir, it's a little hard to see there, but a Tavir is a mercha that shelters a little dot. So we're always going to say that a Tavir is a note that defines a sheltered influence of something that we're going to be describing.
With Tavir, it looks like the belly button. Same word.
Tabur.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Belly with
So is that the same spelling? Tabur, isn't that how do you
I
spell
believe
belly
it
button?
is. I believe it is. That's what it's from.
The eastern region parallel to Ludim was occupied by some families, and with Anamim as stressed by the corresponding reading mark.
Anaheim.
Small typo here. Number 4. Not Anamim, Anamim.
Yeah.
Oh, Cloud. Cloud, Lud, I told you it was the airport.
You're all
I'm
over
not sure
it.
we can define anything more from that. Viet lehavim with a tipcha. So this is going to refer us backwards to what's come from before and slightly pause after. The havim, we're going to see, means flames, and we'll see if there's any reference to that. The acquisition of land in districts of southern Egypt with various clans, and with lehavim, who captured the coastline northwest of Lower Egypt, and eastern part of Africa was settled as denoted by the reverse orientation of the directional reading mark. So this is going to focus us back on what we've said before. So it's going to look to backwards from the east is west. So we're going to look west from. So we've decided that sometimes when we are looking at the notes, they're also going to tell us geographical direction. Looking backwards from the east, we get to the west. So this is the territory that Lehavim is going to occupy. And other than the fact that we're closer to the equator, I don't know why he's Lehavim, than he's flames. And a note: the Kushim in the south and the Luvim, Lehavim, in the northwest were later recruited as Egypt's soldiers. And we get that from Divrei Hayomim. Kushim v'haluvim hayu l'chaya. Viet naftuchim.
All these peoples they're all plural, because they're not the name of one. Are they the name of one person who has a clan later?
Or Cush, right? How do you about Cush or Cushim?
No, but there it says Cush, but you're allowed to Cush.
It was the name of the area. It's called Cush.
No, I know, but I'm saying all these names are in the plural. Like Cushim.
Right, because we're saying we're saying that it's a clan of. So why are we talking in the plural here when we talk about Mitzrayim's sons? You know, as Mitzrayim also has a mem at the end.
If they're duplicitous. Although we see this Cushim, we've been named down Cushim also. Interesting, it's also strange. That's a strange pursuit, we've been named down. It's a single character.
Well, that's what your comment is supposed to be in the note.
But no. So why are we doing that here, and why don't we do that with everybody else with every other name? So certainly later on, when we try to impose a meaning on the word Mitzrayim, and we do this a lot at Pesach, we divide it up into Meitzar Yam, a narrowing of the sea, or Yam 10 and 40 is 50. You're going to narrow the concept of things that are beyond nature. We say that 50 is an element of divine, of something that's beyond 7 times 7. All of, and the other feature of Yam, the other feature of an ocean, and similarly the feature of a desert, is a place where there are no landmarks. If you're in the middle, you really can't tell where you're going to go. So these are all tribes that are influenced by this sort of aimlessness of philosophy that Mitzrayim is imposing on them. That you know they can't see truth anymore. They've put themselves in a place where they are so far from it that whatever influence they have is what they have to follow, and they can't see back to the source anymore. This might be a philosophical influence of Mitzrayim onto all of his children, that all of them get this plural with Yam, Yud, and Mem at the end. I don't know if I'm imposing something that isn't really there or not, but you would think that if we were talking just the clan of, then that would be something that would be imposed on all the other names of everybody else. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we've done it for all the sons of Mitzrayim seems to say that there might be something here, at least philosophically, that's passed on from Mitzrayim to all of his children, and
or that they don't.
That's certainly one of the things that I've heard told when we talk about the concept of Mitzrayim at Pesach. So, in any case,
or maybe it's plural because they have a mob mentality. They don't think for themselves. And that also could be.
Okay, so again, there are lots of reasons that it might be plural, but I think we're saying is that Mitzrayim, the progenitor, is imposing this on all of his children, that they all have whatever attitude either plural imposes on them or the clan of imposes on them, and certainly we see that with a lot of Africa today, that it is a very tribal place, that it is a place that you consider people of your tribe versus people of your country. You have very little loyalty to country and ultimate loyalty to clan and to tribe. So we'll just say that we've noted a similarity, and we're not quite sure why it's there, but it is noteworthy that it is there. Number 6, and naftuchim, and with naftuchim, viet naftuchim, with the stabilizing sof pasuk, comparable to the division in Upper Egypt. The eastern part of Lower Egypt, including the delta, became inhabited by various clans, and with naftuchim.
From the word patuach, the delta opens things up.
So that's where the river opens up into the ocean.
We have Main of Torah, that Lifta, Lifta on the way there. No, it's called Man of Torah. Lifta is the Arabic word, but it's called Man of Torah.
And we have yet another note, and B, the parallel expression of the second and third part of the sentence, et ludim, viet anamim, viet lehavim, corresponds also with the geographical distribution of the respective clans, like Egypt himself, so were his descendants quoted in plural. So again, he's noting that they are all in plural, but he doesn't impose a meaning on the fact that we've made plurals. So we're going to notice when we read through the sentence with the pauses and with the notes that Mitzrayim is going to stand out strongly, and the phrase, the word Yalad, is going to push us back to look at Mitzrayim, and Naftuchim is going to again stand alone. So, Umitzrayim Yalad et Ludim viet Anamim viet Lehavim viet Naftuchim. And I think we'll stop here for this week. Unfortunately, we won't have a class next week, but we have a volunteer from the group to give us an introduction in 2 weeks.
Go ahead.